The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Welcome, everyone, to another great Raw review from Wrestling of the Max. And, of course, I am Gary Vaughan. Along with me tonight is Mr. Brandon Biskobing.
Hey, how's it going? This may be a new thing for the next couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, could be, and that's just fine. We have a great time here. Once again, we love Paul, but Paul has been really working hard lately, and he's had a lot of things going on. And honestly, the guy is so worn out, he's been falling asleep in his chair waiting to do the show. So I don't blame him.
I'll be able to pull the trifecta this week.
I know, that's awesome. So, hey, it won't just be getting Brandon here. You'll also get him on SmackDown Live and also on the 205 Live review shows. And heck, any other shows he does.
And then on NXT.
Yeah, NXT too.
And then, depending upon what Sean is up to, I talked to him about doing this. Him and I and maybe Harry and whoever else is deciding to watch, we may do a Strong Style Evolved show after the show on Sunday.
Oh, wow. So, man, you've got a full plate ahead of you, Brandon,
Yes,
but that's really good.
Not to mention I still have to catch up like crazy on New Japan before that show.
Oh, man, well, you better get started because there is so much to cover.
I'm doing the abbreviated version. I did the Finals of the World Tag League today. I'm going to do Wrestle Kingdom tomorrow, and then do the New Year's Dash and stuff like that over the rest of the week.
Fair enough. Well, that'll get you hopefully caught up in quick manner and get you going for that show. And I'm looking forward to checking it out for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited for you, man. But tonight we are talking Monday Night Raw. I'm really looking forward to talking about this show because they were chock full of big things tonight. Not only did we get the ultimate deletion, we also got a little bit more of John Cena and the Undertaker drama going on. Plus, the heat is really getting fired up on a lot of these feuds. So we are going to get started on that pretty soon here. But before we get started on talking about Monday Night Raw, I want to make sure everybody does know to get more of the content like you're listening to and all the other great stuff that you love from the W2M Network. Make sure you go check out W2Mnet.com. That's the place where you go find all that great content and a lot more. Don't forget also go hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcast from, whatever platform it may be. Just hit us up, subscribe, rate, and review over at the W2M Network, and you'll get all of our great shows in one nice package. And we appreciate you guys that have already done that. But we have to say it every week just to make sure that for the new listeners that they know where to go. And also, once again, to give our friends over at 411mania.com and lastwordonprowrestling.com some love as well. They have some great content over there, some great reviews also when it comes to written form and some other really interesting things you guys will want to go check out. Well, Brandon, we've got a full show ahead of us, so why don't we go ahead and break this thing down tonight? And, of course, we start this show off by talking a little bit more about Roman Reigns. That's right. Kurt Angle comes down to the ring, opens up the show in Dallas, Texas, and gets this thing going by talking about the fact that Roman Reigns will not be in the building because he is suspended still, so don't expect him. He also mentions that Brock Lesnar has not yet met anyone at the arena, so he is not there yet. But all of a sudden, as he's talking, guess who shows up? Mr. Roman Reigns. To what I honestly was kind of surprised a little bit here, Brandon. Lots of boos, but also quite a few cheers. I don't know if it was the camera angle, the microphones, but they actually kind of had close to, I would say, a 50-50 hate-love situation from Mr. Roman Reigns. He gets in the ring, addresses Kurt Angle, and says that he doesn't care if he's suspended. He just wants Brock Lesnar. He wants to fight him tonight. That basically is an argument that Kurt Angle is not going to sit around and deal with. He goes to the back. The U.S. Marshals come out and just arrest Roman Reigns right there. He is handcuffed, and he tells the U.S. Marshals not to touch him, yet they still do. So he decides to clean the ring of the three guys that are the U.S. Marshals, and that leaves him alone until Brock Lesnar shows up to take care of business. And yes, Brock Lesnar takes care of business. He assaults Roman Reigns with not only Suplex City, but he also gives quite a few chair shots, and also to finish the whole thing out, a nice F5 after basically destroying him later on in this whole thing, while even Roman's on a stretcher going to the hospital. So it was basically your normal Brock Lesnar beat down here at the end, just continuous. A long segment here, a lot going on. But what did you think about this whole thing, Brandon?
I liked it a lot, and I said it on the group chat, and I'll say it here. If they would have done this with Roman Reigns 3 years ago, we would not have the problems that we have today. This is what they should have. This is the Roman Reigns that we should have been seeing from the get-go. Yes, they tried to do it a little bit with in 2016 when he had his whole feud with Triple H, and they tried to bring that type of concept into it then. But it was just too little, too late, and the damage was done already. Would it have solved all of the problems with Roman's reactions? No. But I think a lot more fans, myself included, Roman has grown a lot on me over this past year, especially with the whole Braun Strowman feud. But if they would have done this very edgy, very, I don't care what you think type of Roman Reigns back then I don't think we would have had the problems of the, back and forth that we have nowadays.
You're right, and I think that there's many situations that they could have fixed in the past that really could have created a better atmosphere for the fans to really, let's be honest, become big fan favorites of Roman Reigns. And what has happened now is the fact that they've kind of tried to go fast forward too quick and get him in that grace, and it just doesn't happen that way.
Well, that's the thing. Now they're basically trying to backtrack and trying to do those things. Like I said, they tried to do it in 2016 as well. They've been trying to backtrack and try to make him this more badass, don't care, stone cold tweener type, that if they had done it from the get-go, it would have worked. But now with the animosity that has grown, there are just certain fans that are like, oh, you're just trying too hard now. So it just doesn't work. But I like the segment a lot. I think, personally, obviously, it's been this way for about a half a year now, a little over half a year now for me. But, Roman is definitely, a guy that I'm okay with rooting for now. So seeing this kind of edge to him makes it even easier to say that I'm a Roman fan now. And, this segment, this whole thing that they've been doing with Roman, and first off, let me just say, and I think you would have to agree with me on this, I hate it. And there are so many things that they do. And I get the reason why they do it, but then it's kind of counterintuitive for them to do it just for 3 months and then go back to, their other style, and then, as a result, probably lose all of those casual fans that they're trying to bring in. But it's so funny how during WrestleMania season, they bring in all these old Attitude Era guys. They up the edge on everything. They do more hardcore type stuff. Basically saying to themselves and to the fans, we know that the Attitude Era is the most popular time in wrestling history, and most casual fans want to see that kind of programming. Mm-hmm. But then Vince is either too stubborn or too... I don't even know what it is, but, it obviously makes an impact because they do it every year, or at least I would hope that they're not completely insane and doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results if it isn't working. but I would assume that it does work, and you're getting in a bigger showing during WrestleMania season because of the way they handle things. But then they go right back to the PG, very towing, that line stuff the rest of the year, which, basically makes the point moot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is the truth, and they really do that. And I think, honestly, WrestleMania is such a big deal, and like you said, they're trying to get those fans back that maybe are not really watching the product a whole lot, but man, they hear some big things towards WrestleMania time, and they're willing to spend the money to get, WrestleMania on their TV. And the best way to do that is to give them some things that they want to see. And I think, we'll talk about some segments, and the one giant segment we'll talk about here that will hopefully get the attention of some of those fans. But I mean, in reality, for Roman Reigns, he's going to have an uphill battle going forward still. I know you said you're becoming more of a Roman Reigns fan. I'm okay with Reigns. I mean, I'm not a big fan still. I've not changed my mind. Not that I'm not going to say that the guy's not talented. He's super talented. He's got a lot to offer. I just, right now, I'm still not, going to jump on that bandwagon now. Right now, as we sit here, WrestleMania is coming. I am going to be rooting for him at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Who's his opponent after that? I don't know, but I don't think that really I'm going to be rooting for him after that. Who knows? So,
I mean,
we'll see.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of my opinion of him as well, where he's kind of in the middle where, against a guy like Lesnar, I'm going to root for him because I want to see the title full time again. But, if he's going up against Braun or Finn or, Seth or whatnot, then I'd probably more so go for them. But I think, and it's kind of cliche at this point that we say it because we've been saying this for 3 years now. But, I mean, the only way that they can really, truly get people on board with Roman is to turn him full on heel. And it's kind of funny. I've said it, as long as I've said it before, and I said it again tonight when they were getting the boos and everything, because they're using a lot of the same type of segments and whatnot as they did with Austin. I said on one group, I was like, you could give him, you could throw him a beer and have him drink a beer in the middle of the ring, and a portion of the fan base would still boo him. That's how bad it is now. And I would hope that, at some point they just, cut it and just say, you know what, it's not working the way we want it to. Let's just turn him heel for a while, which will get the hardcore fans behind him, while the casuals, they're going to go whichever way you want them to go no matter what. So turn him heel for like 6 months, have him go on a rampage, and then turn him face again, and you've got everyone on board with him.
Yeah, and you got something there, but let's just be honest. You've been saying that for 3 years, and for more than that, people said the same thing about John Cena. And,
I know.
We're still wishing in one hand and crapping in the other, and we all know which one's filling up first. So.
Yep.
But, we'll see. I mean, I'll say this. The opening segment we had here wasn't terrible. It was hokey a little bit at times, to be honest with you, especially the U.S. Marshals, as usual. They were just waiting to get me down. Come on.
That's something that, it's cliche now because we all know what's going on and we're so, desensitized by certain things within wrestling. But I was perfectly fine with it. I don't see any problem with it. It's something that can build that momentum for Reigns. And like I said, it does bring you back to certain angles from the past, which, it, at least for some fans, may help to get Reigns, get behind Reigns a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. And, as a Texas native, I'm just going to say this. I am so happy it was U.S. Marshals and they didn't make it Texas Rangers. Because, to me, like, you can't do that. So, But anyway, well, that was the opening segment. We do, of course, have to talk about something, really interesting to me. And that's, of course, this whole situation with Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss and what's going down with this. And they kind of recapped the whole segment we discussed last week about the fact that, everybody heard exactly what Alexa and, her good friend Mickie James were talking about. And all that bad stuff about Nia Jax was heard all around the arena. Nia Jax herself heard it, freaked out. This week, though, Alexa stands in front of the whole entire arena and says, "I'm sorry. I, said all those things, but I'm not really. I'm okay with it." And then she goes into mean girl mode and just really cuts this kind of mean promo.
She's gotten good at this. This is the second time she's done this now.
Like I told Paul, I've always said this. Boy, I would hate for her to break up with someone because, that would be rough on that guy. That guy would be a million pieces. But yeah, she did an excellent job. I love also the little comment she made about dropping 300 pounds. That was too something. But she really just kind of breaks down the whole thing with Nia and really just cuts her down, and then says now she's gonna go and beat Asuka be the first person to do that. So that sets up our match between Alexa Bliss and Asuka, and they give it a little time here. Surprisingly enough, they don't make the Raw Women's Champion look bad. They actually give her an opportunity to get some offense here and give her some, at least against someone who is dominant like Asuka. But Asuka does come out victorious because Alexa takes the cheating way out, and her and Mickie James just stay outside the ring. And basically, with Alexa's hurt ankle, she has Mickie James helping her, and the count out happens. So Asuka wins. Basically by count out. So you have that situation take place. And then you also have Nia Jax decide this is the time her presence will be known, and she comes down to beat down Alexa Bliss as she's trying to run away. Then you have Mickie James attack Nia, and Nia turns around and throws Mickie James, and this will look kind of sick. They did a good job of this, into the corner of the ring post on the outside. That looked pretty bad, if you ask me. Not bad in a terrible way, bad in a that hurt way. And then she tries to catch Bliss again, but Bliss gets away. So we have that whole thing come down here. What did you think about this whole thing, the Alexa Bliss promo, the match, and of course the ending here?
I mean, the promo, like I said, it's pretty crazy that they did this now 2 times in a month. But like it kind of gives me confidence, and it'll be interesting to see how she does. I know she was a face in NXT, like in the beginning of her run. But it would be very interesting to see how she would do as a face, because, she's very believable even, when she is doing the, face type trope. So, it'll be interesting to see if they ever do end up turning her. And then the match, I'm honestly surprised how they went with this. I guess it's the best way to keep Alexa strong, and because I guess especially in Vince McMahon's world, if you're losing to Asuka even with an undefeated streak, there's no way that you're gonna be able to beat Nia Jax. But this this whole segment, I was fine with it. Keeps everyone strong, keeps everyone looking like they can, still do what they need to do, and not, at least in some people's opinion, not completely telegraphing the finish for Mania.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And, the one thing that, I will say is that, this whole thing has become more and more interesting. It's definitely kind of heated up. And, you were talking about Alexa Bliss, being, face at one time or another. She was that in NXT, but she was just so young in wrestling and really not at the point where really she could do much about being a baby face, because she didn't talk really. And she was just kind of going out there and having matches. So as she's grown, things have gotten better. And now that we got her in this matchup, of course, with Nia Jax, you've definitely got the giant taking on the mini me, if you'll say it that, with a little bitty person. So it's going to be really, really fun. And, you Gores, have, I think both looking strong in this manner, because that really needs to happen for it going into this matchup. And, saying that, I do need to mention that we did get a segment, after commercial break where we get Alexa Bliss commenting to Angle that this was not good, this was not cool. And he needs to have Nia Jax arrested. And he says, no, no, no. I heard what you said last week, and guess what? Your title is going to be all up for grabs against Nia at WrestleMania. So I think they're doing a good job. They set the match up here. We know now going forward, this feud's going to really be heating up even more, Brandon. But I mean, I think so far, I'm really enjoying what they've got in this early time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the one thing that I was kind of surprised about, but I'm perfectly fine. I actually kind of prefer the way they went tonight rather than this. But in typical WWE fashion, I was half expecting Mickey and Alexa to do like a double team beatdown on Asuka before the match even started, and have Nia come in for the save and get a tag team match play.
Yeah. But nope, they didn't do it this time, and I think it's better that way.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that they did not do that, because that's only. Let's just save that for SmackDown, right? I think that's a better idea. Yeah, I think that fits better. Well, let's talk about. You're talking about tag teams. Let's talk about Braun Strowman. Of course, we saw last week he basically won the #1 contendership for the tag titles to go against the Bar. Well, Kurt Angle and management told Strowman this week, you can't do that. So you have to have a tag team partner. So before he could say too much more, the Bar come out and they interrupt him and say, what, you think you could be both of us, Braun? Come on, we're the Bar. And just really kind of doing this back and forth. And Braun says, well, guess what? There's some things that you need to understand. One is that, basically, I have the opportunity to beat both of you if I want. I could. Oh, and secondly, one of you is going to have to face me tonight. And this is the best part. Getting into this matchup, I love the fact that Cesaro and Sheamus both act like they're going to get in the ring, and they kind of do a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing. They kind of do a little twist, and when they do the twist to get inside the ring, Sheamus goes psych, and Cesaro goes in. So Cesaro is left against the monster among men. Pretty decent time here. Cesaro definitely is not, jobbed out. I'll say it that way. But let's be honest, he did not have much of an opportunity in this matchup. He eventually ran out of gas because Strowman just destroyed him in the end. So there you go. Braun Strowman wins this matchup. I don't think this was terrible. I think for what they're doing to build the story, they've got to have these, little moments that are important but not over the top. They didn't announce the partner or anything like that for Braun Strowman. They just kind of had a little match here, which I'm sure next week we'll get Sheamus, and I think this is fine.
Yeah. I'm perfectly fine with it. Honestly, there's three matches or three potential matches. One definite match and two potential matches at Mania that honestly, to have special Mania moments, especially for this one, especially if it's going to be someone out of the ordinary, not just Elias, not just, someone on the current roster, if it's going to be someone special that you're going to bring in, I would be perfectly fine with them going all the way up to Mania and have his partner be a surprise. Because I think it would make a huge moment if it is a big time person, kind of like doing what they did with the Hardys last year. That one, we'll talk about this more later, but Undertaker Cena, if they are doing the match, I honestly would be okay with them just waiting until Mania and having Cena cut a promo about him and then have his music hit all of a sudden. And then, if the rumors are true with Daniel Bryan coming back, I'd like them to save it until Mania just to get that special moment out of it. But, I mean, in terms of this match, I was okay with it. The one thing I didn't really like, and I don't know if you noticed it, and I get it that Cesaro hasn't exactly been used all that well in WWE. But did you hear that pretty big insult Coachman put on him tonight?
I'm trying to remember which one it was. I'm kind of fuzzy. Remind me what it was.
He compared him to a 16 seed.
Oh boy, I think I overlooked that because I probably just kind of ignored that comment because Cesaro is way better than the 16. So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, what the hell are you talking about, Coachman?
God, come on. Let's just give him some credit. Hasn't been back very long. Just learn the product, Coachman. Learn the product. I don't know what that's about, but I will say this, from what you're saying here, I agree with you, and I'm looking at this whole situation as a lot of fun. I'm right there with you on the just make that reveal at WrestleMania. I mean, WB usually makes a big splash, right? They usually get some indie worker or somebody from another promotion that people are not expecting to come into WB, and then all of a sudden they appear. I would love it, or maybe an NXT star that we would not think would be up yet to come in and basically tag up with Braun Strowman. That would be a lot of fun as well.
I just thought of two right off the bat as a kind of, do a big size differential type thing. Well, actually three. Either Leo Rush, Ricochet, or if he's still healthy enough and he's able to come in, Mysterio.
Yeah, and you know what? And let's be honest, Rey Mysterio has been really working to get back until his injury happened with the bicep. And, I don't know really his full status, but let's be honest. If there's anybody that could really do the work, Braun Strowman could do it for Mysterio.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So really, Ray wouldn't have to do too much to kind of have fun in the ring, but still get the victory. I think that would be cool.
Basically just hit 1619 and that would make the crowd happy.
Yep, exactly. But once again, how much is that a surprise? Because people did see him at Royal Rumble, and people may not be over the moon about that. Leo Rush, I am a big fan, but I don't know even if NXT has prepared themselves to really see what all he has to offer. And I don't know. It's so interesting. There could be a wide range of guys, but I think your selections are not bad. I would definitely see any of those being a good matchup for him. So, but yeah, we'll find out. I really hope that big reveal happens there, and we'll continue to follow the story. I'm sure we'll get basically, like I said, much of the same stuff next week with Braun in the bar. So. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about another tag team. Let's talk about the Revival. They take on Titus Worldwide. And a decent match, really not a lot going on here. The Revival do get the victory here. And Titus Worldwide, once again, are losers. But the Revival getting this victory means they get to talk a little bit here. And they do let the world know that they want to be the first tag team to win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal at WrestleMania. That's definitely kind of an interesting thing. As we hear Titus O'Neil pissed off about that, we're going row about that. So
that was actually quite fitting timing.
It was perfect timing. I actually like it. A great job.
But I mean, yeah, this whole thing. I mean, it really feels. I mean, I get that. I get what they're trying to do. I get they have limited spots, which is crazy to think about. But, it really feels like Revival is kind of getting, shafted on the main roster, They haven't really done much of anything, and now they're basically just getting tossed into Andre.
Yeah, but they've been back for a very short time. Injuries have really caused them some issues here, and how they do, right? Vince and of course I think all the other guys in WB management get so scared when you have injuries that they start saying we can't put them in too much because they'll get hurt again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably why we're getting that. I do like the fact that they're giving them time on the mic, explaining why they're going to be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal instead of us just watching it and be like, oh, the Revival's in it, they're going to lose, right? Mm-hmm. So now there's a storyline going in for us to pay attention to the Revival. And hopefully coming out, even if they don't win it, they still look good, look strong, and That's my number one thing here with the guys. I think the Revival is going to do big things in WWE if they can stay healthy. But this is the time and the era that we'll say was just the beginning of something. And we'll probably won't remember this as anything being a monumental time. Unless they do win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and then that would be kind of funny because only one guy can win that. But,
yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm still waiting to see the first tag team from NXT to actually do well on the main roster. Maybe Revival will finally be able to buck the trend.
Yeah, you're completely right about that, and that's what scares me, honestly, because I love the Revival. So
I said it from last year. I said, after I think it was after Enzo and Cass broke up, I was like, please don't have any more tag teams be called up from NXT because every good NXT tag team gets destroyed on the main roster.
Yeah. It's sadly the truth. It's really a bummer. But this is one tag team that if any other tag team doesn't win or survive, then just give me this one because I love the Revival, and I think all of us here at the W2 Network that are in the wrestling section do love the Revival. So. Well, let's move on and talk a little Sasha Banks and Bayley. That's right. They are still discussing their little rift here. They're trying to figure it out. And Bayley come out a little bit here for her match, and then Sasha all of a sudden appears and says, "Hey, look, I know you don't want to figure this thing out, but you're my best friend. Let's get this thing worked out here. Let's not talk behind each other's backs or anything like that. Let's figure this out in the ring live in front of everyone." And basically, Sasha says, "Look, I am sorry. I know you're upset at me about Elimination Chamber, but you know me, and I know you. But I wanted to get the victory. You know that was important to me. And, really, I just want you to know that I forgive you." Bayley isn't so much interested in that. She gets the mic and kind of runs Sasha down a little bit here by saying, "Look, we've been friends for a long time, but guess what? I saw that look you had in your eye, and that was not an eye that loved me. That was an eye saying I'll do anything and bite your head off or whatever to get the victory." And this is all just in layman's terms. And so as she says all this and kind of lets Sasha have it and says that she's hurt from that, you have Paige come down with Absolution and says, "Oh, basically you two can figure things out, but right now it is time for my girls to get in the ring and beat you down." So you have Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville come in the ring and take on Bayley and, of course, Sasha Banks. This is a decent matchup here. We've seen this matchup before, nothing new, and they really don't blow you out of the water this time. They do an okay job. But in the end here, Bayley and Sasha are kind of going back and forth in the ring. Deville knocks Bayley into Sasha, knocking her out of the ring, and then Bayley gets a nice little kick to the face, and Deville gets the 1-2-3 cover win, and Absolution is victorious. I mean, I don't know, Brandon. This is okay. I like the fact that they did. Let's be honest, they did put some voice behind what's going on between these two, Bayley and Sasha. But I mean, I think they're just stretching this thing out a little bit.
Oh, it's definitely a case of them stretching it out because they just don't have the space to actually do this at Mania. So they're just stretching it out, and then this will probably get like some sort of added ammo at Mania during the Women's Battle Royal. And then we'll probably get this the blow-off match at what is it, Payback or whatever the first pay-per-view.
I don't know if it's Payback or Bash. I think it is Payback. Backlash is later, something like that.
But I mean, the interesting thing I see about this feud is that. And, I mean, we're still kind of early on into it, and they're still kind of just treading water because they can't do anything distinctive at Mania. So maybe we'll get more clear-cut alignments as we go through. But this reminds me a lot of the whole KO and Sammy versus Shane feud on SmackDown, where there really isn't any clear-cut face-heel alignment here.
That is kind of true. Let's be honest, because Bailey hasn't been herself lately, right? I mean, she's been kind of this a little bit different than she has, and not as friendly and not as jovial. So that's a little bit different, kind of like you mentioned, Sami Zayn, kind of the same way, right?
Well, not
And
so
so,
much that, but like
Mhm.
we don't know. Like at first you were thinking, oh, Sasha's turning on Bailey,
Mhm.
and it seemed pretty clear cut. And then over the last couple of weeks, it seemed like Bailey was kind of the one who was turning her back on Sasha. And now after this promo, I'm kind of more on the side of Bailey again, where it's like, yeah, that look in your eye when you knocked me off the pod was not a I'm sorry I did this. This has nothing to this is not because of you type of look. It was
Mhm.
yeah, get down, type of look.
Yeah. No, and that's where I think we both agree because you made a great comparison because that it very much is like the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn kind of situation, and I dig it though.
Mm-hmm.
Both these group couples we're talking about here have had great histories between each other, so and not a bad situation to be in, and post Mania would be the better timing for Sasha and Bailey, but let's see what they do. Let's see if that is where they heat it up. I once again I appreciate the fact that they are vocalizing some of the issues they're having between each other rather than just us sit around and think about it ourselves. But there's more to be seen, and let's see how much Absolution really kind of breaks that because that seems like that's what Absolution is here to do right now. It's just to bug those two. Other than that, really, what is Absolution really doing? Not
Mm-hmm.
much,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the only thing that kind of bugs me because they once mattered and now you just kind of don't.
Well, I
So,
think the big reason for why they don't matter is because kind of the whole purpose of absolution has been nullified now.
yeah, that they without Paige, really, what were they about?
Yeah. The
That's
whole
the biggest
point
thing.
was for them to basically be stooges for Paige to help her get the title.
Yeah, that is true. Now all they can do is go to her clothing store and help stuff, help check out people and stuff while she's the manager. So. But yeah, I mean, I'd look forward to seeing what they got here in the future. There's some more stuff coming, but as we sit here, really, there's not a lot more to really get into with that.
The
It's
the
just kind of a
interesting
sit and wait.
the interesting question for me in terms of absolution is how much longer are they gonna wait before they break up and then we get an inevitable retirement speech?
That's a great question, and I've often wondered that. And I'll be honest with you, every time I see Absolution with Paige, I have a big knot in my stomach because I keep thinking the same thing. Oh, poor Paige, she's going to get fired. Poor Paige, because it's like that test before school, and it's coming, and that the outcome may not be what you want, and you have that dread, and I kind of have that dread for
Mm-hmm.
Paige. Now, this doesn't mean she has to get fired per se, but it also means that she probably won't be around in the manner of being a talent. Doing something else would probably be in her best interest because if they're not allowing her back in the ring, well, there's no reason to really have her around because unless they really do find a way to make her a full-fledged manager, and I don't know that they're going to do that right now. I just don't see it. They're kind of doing it, but they still dress her as a talent, right? She still
Mm-hmm.
comes out dressed like like she's going to actually get in the match, and that's not going to happen. So.
I think the only reason why they do that is for the fans who aren't in the know, that it makes them believe that she may interfere still.
Yeah, yeah, and I could definitely understand that. But, still, it's kind of sad. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's move on past this and let's talk about some other interesting things here because we did have some fun stuff go down because John Cena comes out and does his discussion about WrestleMania once again and comes out here to talk a little Undertaker and says he called out Undertaker and he wants to give you the answer tonight from what the Undertaker has said about his call out. And before he does that, he just basically kind of talks about the fact that he's been kind of concerned that the Undertaker has been sitting at home thinking that he no longer has what it takes to be in the ring, basically. And then John Cena goes, I'm going to give you the answer, and it is absolutely nothing. And so that basically comes down to John Cena saying that The Undertaker is disrespecting him by not giving him an answer and disrespecting the crowd. And he does a little bit more rundown of The Undertaker and just really calls him out and really tries to put the pressure on Undertaker to, let's be honest, have a match with him that, maybe The Undertaker doesn't want to have. And as he goes on and on over this, we do finally have a response in the form of Kane showing up. And John Cena wants to know the answer from Kane, and the only answer he gets is a choke slam. So I don't know really per se, Brandon, where we go from here. I mean, we could have Kane kind of be the liaison for Undertaker until he does see him at WrestleMania, or is this a one-time thing? What did you think about all this?
Well, first off, let me say you were talking about how a lot of people have wanted a Cena heel turn and everything. I think this is the closest we will ever get because he's kind of being a dick lately. Mm-hmm. But in terms of this whole feud or whatever you want to call it, like I said, while it would kind of be stupid in terms of what Cena's been saying, where like, oh, if I don't have a match, I'll just be a fan in the crowd and whatnot, it would be pretty stupid for them to do this at Mania, considering what he's saying right now. But I have a feeling that we're going towards a situation, especially considering where they were tonight. They were right in Undertaker's backyard, so it's not like, this is the place that would have made the most sense for him to make an appearance and make his return, if he was to return. So if we are indeed getting this match, which unfortunately I think we are, I think you're probably right. I think Kane is gonna be kind of the in-between between these two, and we might get a match between Cena and Kane, with Cena inevitably winning, and then proceeding to call out Undertaker after that, maybe even beating down Kane a little bit to kind of up the ante. But like I said before, I think they're gonna hold off until, especially at this point, I think they're gonna hold off until Mania. And then at Mania, have Cena come out to shoot a promo and say, well, I'm here, I'm about to go take my seat, I'm, like, I don't have a match tonight, I'm just a fan, I'm just here to watch. And then either the dong or, the music for the bike, the American Badass, plays. And we get Undertaker at Mania. So that's where I'm expecting this to go.
Yeah, and you very well could be right. And, I think that you're going to have a little interaction here to kind of bide your time until Mania, like you mentioned about with Kane. I really hope it doesn't go all the way to WrestleMania where we have Kane in the ring with John Cena, but it would be nice to actually have, some kind of action or something for, to represent basically Undertaker through Kane. I think would be even, best at WrestleMania if he does come out and John Cena, is making that grand entrance down that ramp and then comes down and sits in the front row and, just, says, I'm just here to watch, and then sits there, and then the Undertaker is eating popcorn behind him and then, says it's time, and then they fight. So
that would be kind of funny. That I would admit that would actually be funny.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And then you hear Kid Rock come to the stage and start playing the American Badass song.
Oh, God, no. I know it's going to happen, but please, no.
I know. I don't want it to happen either. Trust me. I don't even want to see this match.
Neither do I.
I'm just worried. I'm really worried. I think the EMTs will have to have 2 stretchers out there just to make sure that they can stretch her, take her out to a point, and then need some rest to get him back up the other. Because let's just be honest, those guys will be pushing him, and that ramp is so far at Mania. Yeah. They're going to need a break, and they're like, here, hurry on the other stretcher.
Yeah.
So
Or have like 3 teams ready to take the stretcher, like a relay race.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be kind of fun to see if this was an outdoor or stadium. They could just helicopter him out, but they anyway.
I mean, I wish if they were gonna do. I mean, unless he's going over and he's going out on top, this doesn't make any sense. Because if he were gonna put someone over for his last match, I'd like it to be someone who would actually, get something out of it. I mean, my ideal match at this point, and I wish we would have gotten it last year. I know it's a little trickier for Taker, especially with this guy's moveset. It would be a lot harder on Taker's body, but pass the torch to Balor.
Yeah, I would love that.
I'm hoping that we at least get a redemption from the debacle that we got a couple of months ago, and we get a real Balor-Kane feud with Balor going over and getting the Demon Torch passed to him.
Yeah, see, that would work great. I would love to see that happen. I really would, and but it just never happened for me because Bray Wyatt didn't get it from Taker.
Yeah.
I wanted Bray to get a Taker spot.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
So I just think once again WWE is not thinking on the same lines as we are at all times, and that's kind of sad.
Because like I talked about before, they're thinking purely in the past tense.
Mm-hmm.
They're purely thinking about, what can bring the old Attitude Era fans back, and they're so short-sighted that all they think about is just bringing back old guys for nostalgia to bring those fans back, instead of building the storylines and building the television that they had back then that brought those fans in on a regular basis.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they are just trying to do it at the a little bit wrong about way. I give them credit for at least trying to have these big matches, and of course, John Cena and Undertaker, back 5 years ago would have been fun. But right now, it's just a little too overdone. This is like cooking your pizza just a little too much, where it's got black spots on it. So. Well, let's move on and talk a little Miztourage here. We have Miztourage come out, and they are really just kind of having fun because guess what? Miz is here to make sure the people know that he does not get the respect he deserves still. He doesn't know where, Axel and Dallas were. They kind of disappeared on him last week while he was causing problems for both Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, but by just a little bit of a nudge, he got those two guys to fight. And he said it'll be even more of a push and shove next time they get together. So as that takes place and as Miz is talking, guess what? Gallows and Anderson's music hits, and then Finn Balor. It's time for a 6-man tag match, and this thing gets down. And, of course, what happens? Well, the Balor Club gets the victory, but Miztourage decides they're going to beat down Finn Balor. Seth Rollins has been at commentary this entire time until he makes this save for Finn. So you still get that feud kind of put in here. To me, it was okay. I wasn't overly enthused, but it was fine for what it was. I love The Miz. He still does a good job. Even that little promo when he kind of gets on the indie fans and kind of throws out even Tyler Black, and he calls him Prince Nevitt. I think that was funny. Like, boy.
I mean, that seems to be what this feud... And I hope it doesn't continue like this, because it would be really stupid. And even stupider that a lot of the fans that he's directly going after are still probably going to cheer him, which I think is beyond stupid. But I have a feeling that this is very much going to be a WWE corporate Miz against the indie Balor and Rollins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I just kind of right there on the edge of this is fun because I like Rollins, Balor, and Miz all. But on the other hand, the reason for it is just not my thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't need that.
I think you would agree with me that you know that it's going to be even stupider when you're hearing all of the fans that he's directly making fun of still cheer him like crazy.
Yeah, it's the truth. It really, really is, and I'm one of them. I love the Miz. I
don't.
do.
I despise him.
And that's okay. You can despise him. It's his promo skills. Oh man, I don't know. But hey, we all have our guys we hate. So I think at least they're getting the point across here. They didn't spend a ton of time on this. The match was a decent time, but they didn't give it over. It didn't really. Okay, let's just say it this way. It didn't overstay its welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this was fine. They heat up the feud here, and then of course we'll probably get more of this next week. Let's talk a couple of things before we jump into the main part of this show. Let's give a little credit to WWE because they announced another Hall of Famer, and the guy was Mark Henry. Nice little video package. I thought they did a great job with that as always. How do you feel about this? Mark Henry got inducted. He's going to get inducted this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with it. I think we heard about him retiring earlier this past year.
Mm-hmm.
Officially. So, I mean, as soon as you heard that he was retiring officially, you kind of saw it coming that he was going to get in.
Yeah.
The one thing I was shocked about, and I mean, granted, I shouldn't really be too shocked because, like I said, it is WrestleMania season, and, they did do stuff with The Godfather last year, or what was it? Last year or 2 years ago? I think 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years.
But I was shocked that they actually brought up the sexual chocolate stuff.
You got to. It's Mark Henry, for
God's sake.
God's
Well, of course
sake.
you do. But, again, it's that hypocrisy that I talked about with WWE.
Mm-hmm. I know. They do have that hypocrisy, but they couldn't help it. They had to bring that up. And they needed to.
No. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm saying make up your damn minds and go back to that.
I know, but no, they don't want to. No, they got to think of the kids. Toys R Us is closing. They got to fill that gap. They got to make sure they're the Toys R Us the kids come to. So, but yeah, I mean, Mark Henry, that's great. I'm really, really happy with that. I just, think the world of the guy. Of course, another Texas native. So
I liked how they showed one of my favorite moments from. One of my favorite moments of his from back in, I think it was 2011, him breaking the ring with Big Show.
Yes, that was a great moment. I love that moment as well. I'm right there with you. So, I mean, there's so many great moments for Mark Henry and his entire career. So they did a great job of showcasing a lot of the big highlights, and I was really happy with it. Can't wait to see him get inducted, though. Mm-hmm. Let's mention Ronda Rousey here. Of course, they've been promising us that you're going to see Ronda Rousey on every Raw. Well, you got a video for him this week. And of course, a decent package here. Really just kind of showcasing who she is. Showed a lot of the UFC videos and just really getting in depth about her and her emotional side. And I mean, if anything, this was kind of funny to me because they really made her endearing to the crowd from a different perspective, not because she's physical, but because she's a human being, gosh darn it. I don't know what to think. I think it's fine. I think it definitely, hopefully, will change the mind of some people, but I don't know how this really helps her per se past that.
I mean... Like you said, maybe some people who were kind of on the fence about her, maybe it brings them to her side, but, I mean, it was a nice video package, but, it's like you said, I don't know really how much it does for her, and it's kind of funny how they promised her, being full-time and everything, and yet, last week we didn't see her at all, and this week we just get a video package.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if the folks in Dallas got Snickers. Just it really does, because last week they handed out Snickers, and it's kind of funny. I was driving home with my wife tonight, and I said, "Yeah, here in Dallas, they're going to have Monday Night Raw, and I'm late watching it, but they're coming here, and now I wish I kind of was there, because I may have got some free Snickers. Who knows?"
But I mean, I think this does more. Like, the video package was fine, but them not having her on TV, I think, does more to hurt her than help her, because the fans that are on the fence, the fans who are on the fence and the fans that don't like her because they're expecting it to be another Brock, where they're gonna push her to the moon while she hardly ever shows up. And also, a lot of fans are worried about her wrestling skills, which we've yet to see. That will be yet to see. We'll see that at Mania. But in terms of the whole scheduling thing, you can easily avoid that by having her be there every week. Yes, it may get tedious, having her, go up against Stephanie and Triple H every week. But, you can kind of do these things with her while she's in the arena, too. So, I think they should be doing more to get that point across right now.
I definitely understand where you're coming from. I really personally think the promise that she was going to be on every Monday Night Raw was ignorant. I just think that if you can't do that, then don't even say it.
I agree with that.
Yeah. But if you can't book it either, because they can't. Let's be honest, man. They cannot book this the correct way, because she does not have all those wrestling skills. And second of all, her mic skills are not good enough to stand alone and have her just stand in the ring for 4, 6, 7, 8 weeks and expect it to get across to the fans that it's going to matter.
That's true. I'll give you that. But that's the thing. I don't know what they're going to do with her after Mania, because, if they don't want the fans to completely turn on her. Like, if she's just purely a special attraction, but she's not really doing anything of note, that's one thing. But, I saw a rumor tonight that, they're thinking of having her be the one to end Asuka's streak next year at next Mania. And unless they build Rousey to being, someone that they can rely on, and that someone who's actually wanting to be there and everything, and, being there full time and everything, she's gonna get destroyed. She's gonna get the Roman Reigns treatment if she's the one to beat Asuka's streak, and she's not there full time.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think we'll probably get to that point eventually. I think right now, leading into Mania, they're trying their best just to get that anticipation back up, because we've already seen some physicality between her and Stephanie McMahon. So you've already blown the rose off that, pedal a little bit. And not only that, I mean, you have some other stuff that you have on video catalog that people can go back to on YouTube and kind of see about her and what she thinks and things like that. So it's not as fresh as they wanted it. So I think now they're trying to go back to the, distance makes the heart grow fonder, and hope that at Mania, all those wild fans will all of a sudden love to see and hear Ronda Rousey's music instead of, we just saw her last week on Raw. So we'll see. I think that there's some anticipation building for some, and I think for some they're just kind of care less. And let's hope that, it becomes a little bit more for the latter. So, or the earlier one. The latter one I don't want to see.
No.
I do want to say this, though. All this big stuff that we had on this Raw was not the biggest part, if you, in my personal opinion at least. We had an ultimate deletion to get to, and through the night, delete. They had to get it in front of your face and let you know that it was happening. Earlier in the night, you got a chance to see Matt Hardy talking to George Washington, which That was awesome because it's like a giraffe.
I kind of it wasn't as fun for me on the show because I already saw it on online. I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, but it was still a good segment there.
Yeah, it was a good segment, but still, I can't get over it. I laughed
Oh
every time.
yeah.
I can't wait to the one day that they show the spot monkeys and say, "Hey, Matt and Nick." And of course, we got another shot of course, guess who? Matt talking to Rebby Maxwell. I forget the younger kid's name. I forget
I
the name of his
forget right now.
Yeah, but the youngest kid's name, and of course, none other than Senor Benjamin. And
Yes.
he, of course, tells Senor Benjamin to prepare to the battlefield, which was great. I just love it. We also have Matt also talking later on to the dilapidated boat, and that was.
We got Vanguard 1.
Yep, Vanguard 1. You're exactly right. So we got the full cast of characters for the most part. Brother Nero is not to be seen just yet. But I mean, so they really did a good job giving you some segments, preparing you. They weren't overly long. They were very short and sweet. But now we get to the ultimate deletion, and boy, this was a heck of an interesting thing because it was very cinematic. They did a good job of that. You have Bray Wyatt walking up to the Hardy compound with, of course, the lantern, and coming in, and Vanguard 1 is there to meet him. And of course, through Vanguard 1, Matt tells him, to come on down to follow the music. And he does, and he hears Rebby playing. He gets to the ring, and this whole thing kicks off, Brandon, where we get a little back and forth in the ring. We got the bottle rockets. They just don't actually aim at anybody, but they go up in the air, so we get some of that going. And then, of course, a little bit of action later on outside the ring takes place where we have these guys fighting until we get to a spot where Bray Wyatt is very reminiscent as we get to this city of, I believe it was Dilapidation, I don't remember, or something. Yeah. We get there, and Bray Wyatt's having all these flashbacks and all this stuff. What's awesome about that, too, Brandon, I love, is the fact that it goes back even to the NXT days where they were showing some of the old footage.
Oh,
Remember that behind the scenes? It was really cool. And then we go battle it out there a little bit, and then we also get into the Dome of Deletion, where a little bit more takes place with the ladder shots and more back and forth. And we think that Bray Wyatt, could possibly win this thing. He beats Matt down in there and then drags him out to the, of course, the Lake of Reincarnation. But that is where we end here, where we have Matt fully come into play, where he is able to get Bray Wyatt and 1, 2, 3 get the victory because, well, guess what? He used the distraction of a globe in Bray Wyatt's hands. And, of course, we have, of course, that moment where we had the Brother Nero situation go down. So that's awesome. I love Brother Nero being a part of this, and not the whole thing. He was not a big distraction, but the distraction enough for Bray Wyatt to lose this match. And then Matt, of course, Bray and him are still up and going, and Bray says that he has not won yet, and Matt says yes and pushes Bray into that Lake of Reincarnation. Senor Benjamin, go and retrieve him. Senor Benjamin says there's no body, no cadaver. And of course, we have Matt woken Matt Hardy saying he has won the war. And that's when we go up into the air and the movie is over for at least this night. That is the ultimate deletion. I didn't even really break down most of this. I just kind of did a little bit of the highlights here. Brandon, overall, before I even say what I want to say about it, what was your thoughts? What did you think about this whole thing?
I mean, it definitely was better than I expected in terms of a WWE Ultimate Deletion. I'm sure Matt put a lot of input into this, but I mean, granted, I haven't watched the TNA ones in a long time, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it definitely seemed like this was more in ring and more, by the book than the TNA ones were.
Mm-hmm. You could definitely tell that they had their WWE spin on it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they definitely wanted to kind of make it more even keel, I think, for Bray Wyatt was just, comfortable there. Not only that, we wanted a bottle rocket war, and I think that they were not going to allow anyone to shoot bottle rockets at each other, especially trying to be a PG friendly show and be a show for kids. I think that's part of the reason we did not get that. It's disappointing because I think all of us wanted to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to remember this is a show based on getting kids to come and watch and then buy the products that WB sells. TNA wasn't so much worried about that at the time. They were just trying to make something happen and get people to at least watch their program.
Which it worked.
Oh, it definitely worked. And it says a lot that what they did made WB do it too.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'm definitely happy with how it went. Like I said, I wish it was a little more wacky, like it was in TNA than it was here in WWE. But I just hope that they have some sort of plan going forward with Bray with him going into the Lake of Reincarnation. Hopefully they figure out a way to repackage him where, I mean, I was one of Bray's biggest fans from back when he first came to the main roster in 2013. But let's be honest, he's been a glorified jobber for, and I don't care about the WWE title run. He's been a glorified jobber for the last 4 years now. So yeah, I'm hoping this is a way that they can, I don't want them to completely get rid of the Bray Wyatt character or anything, but maybe, put him with Hardy, with the Hardys, make him the new obsolete mule or something like that, and repackage him to where maybe he can at least finally get some sort of momentum going.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of wondering during this whole battle of, man, I mean, this guy has still got the talent. He's got a lot going on for him, but, when he's by himself, he just doesn't have it as much. It's not because of, I think, his skills in the ring or whatever, or even the promos he cuts. It's just the places they put him in.
Yeah. Well, it's the fact that his promo work, not in terms of how good or how bad he is, but in terms of what he says and then what you see in the ring are completely separate. You can't be talking about being a god and then lose every match.
I agree with you. You're totally right about that, and that's the bad situations.
I've said it before. Where would Undertaker be or Kane be today if they lost 75% of their matches? They'd be, a footnote in history.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're not wrong on that at all. I agree with you 100% on that, and it's definitely been a tough road for Bray Wyatt. He's one of those NXT guys that had a lot of momentum coming in because of just what he did in NXT. He had a great group of guys behind him, and then all of a sudden, things just kind of fell apart because WWE had other plans. And so I think they've not done him any favors at all. That's a fact. But now maybe this is his turning point. Maybe joining forces with the Hardys could be something special. And, like you said, obviously Mule, maybe they come up with a different component. I think all that would be a good idea. Let's also think about this. We've seen a lot of the stuff that they kind of rehashed from TNA, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's got to be more ideas. I mean, we got Jeremy Borash, the guy that really helped this thing go and get going, is there with WWE now. And there's no doubt about it that he had other ideas, and the Hardys had other ideas they haven't shared with us yet. So maybe there's some other good things in the works, and that's the thing that makes me happy.
Yeah, I would definitely think and hope that both the Hardys and Jeremy Borash had a bunch of ideas of things to do moving forward in TNA that they were not able to do once Anthem bought them and once the Hardys left. So hopefully they have some of those ideas still, in their memories or written down or whatnot, and they can bring all of those ideas into WWE now. The only thing, and I mean, I don't know what WWE will do or what the reaction was tonight or anything like that, or what WWE will determine a success or failure with this on, but I saw a few more casual fans on my Facebook saying that they did not like this at all, especially on the road to WrestleMania. So I don't know how, TNA, especially with how Matt was financing a lot of it, he was given a very long leash, so, he was basically able to do whatever he wanted. And that's what created the success of it there. Whereas here, I've heard a lot of stories of Vince liking Matt and liking the broken gimmick and all of that, but how long of a leash are they going to have if the fans start to get annoyed at it, especially if you want to do more of these, which I don't know if they showed it in the arena or anything like that. I don't know how long live fans are going to want to see something like this. So, it's going to be interesting to see how much more they're able to do. Do I want to see them do a lot more with it? Absolutely. But whether or not we get it is another question altogether.
I definitely agree. And the one thing we'll know is that Vince is going to look at the ratings to see who did tune in, because it was definitely made to be known this was going to be the biggest part of Raw. And also, we're going to have to see how, other things go. One of the biggest things we're going to have to see is if those social media accounts blow up and talk about this thing in a positive light. We're going to probably see more. And if a majority of the things going around the internet and, of course, on the wrestling's websites and things like that are kind of negative about this thing, we may see Vince kind of think to himself, well, maybe this isn't worth it. Maybe we want to, go a different direction. And I really hope it's more on the terms of being good and positive, because I love this kind of stuff. I think that they did a good job here. It did have its little bit of a corporate polish to it, if I can say it that way, but it still was fun. And it was still great. It was so great to see that they showed the whole family.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very important part of this, and they did it. They didn't interact with them too much, but when they did, to me, it made a great, well-rounded picture for what, the broken universe used to be, and now what Woken universe is now.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun to watch, and me and you both are big fans, and I think other people out there that are listening have seen or not seen the stuff in the past from TNA, but I think it's just fun. And if you're a casual fan and you didn't like it, well, I mean, you wouldn't have liked the other stuff either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think that really hurts anything. But we'll see. Well, let's hope it's positive, because I'm with you, Brendan. I want to see more of this. I want to see how they take it and how they plan to go from here in the future.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely want to see more of it. The only issue, though, for me is, I mean, we really only got to see two big feuds for the Hardys in TNA, correct? First between Matt and Jeff, and then Matt and Jeff against Abyss, correct?
Yes.
So, both of those, obviously Matt and Jeff, it was a blood feud and everything, and, that's where the whole Broken Brilliance and everything developed. And then Abyss was another very crazy faction that you could do a lot of these crazy things with. Whereas with WWE, I just don't know who else you can really have him feud with that you could get this kind of craziness and wackiness with, unless you're gonna bring up, the big one that I can think of, and especially if they do what I'm thinking with Wyatt of bringing him into the Hardy, family or whatnot, whatever you want to call it. is bring up Sanity and have a whole faction war, a great faction war of Deletion between the two. But then at the same time, you're also thinking, do you really want to kind of bury Sanity on their first main roster feud? So, it's going to be very interesting to see where they go from here and who they have him feud with, because you obviously want to keep the momentum here, but the only options that you really have for him to feud with where you still get that wackiness, you wouldn't want the other party to be hurt by this.
Yeah. No, I understand where you're coming from on that. And, Sanity is one of those groups that, they're dark and they're definitely, one of those, let's be honest, factions that could fit right against what's going on with the Woken Hardy stuff. And, of course, even adding Bray Wyatt to that, I think it'd be a good feud, but how soon was that going to be? I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm. The only other person that I can even think of on the main roster, well, two people. One that I honestly could potentially see them doing, especially with how these are shot and everything. You could do something with it, kind of, like breaking the fourth wall type of thing with it, is Goldust. That would be interesting to see.
Oh, yes.
But the only other person that I could think of that I could see them doing something with, just in terms of their characters, is Balor and the Demon. But, for one, he's doing a lot of his own things and not really focused on the Demon all that much right now because of the club. But also, you wouldn't want him to lose momentum by losing to Wyatt. Or not Wyatt, Hardy, rather.
Yeah, that's true, too. And, in that situation, I could totally see Hardy losing.
Yeah.
And it having to be okay. And, who knows? I mean, they may do that in the future, and I think it's definitely a great option for them if they do want to use it. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I'll have to say it may have been a little bit more polished than we wanted, but I feel like the Ultimate Deletion, in my opinion, was pretty much a success. You're right. It wasn't the best they probably could have done, blowing me out of the water, but I still feel like it was a success, and that makes me happy.
So. Oh, yes. It was definitely better than I think a lot of us were expecting or fearing going into it. But, like I said, would have liked it to be a little more wacky than it was, a little less straightforward, like in-ring type stuff, and actually going into two rings. And using the normal weaponry that you see in wrestling. But, all in all, it was better than, I think a lot of us were fearing.
Yeah, and for what I understand, I think that, they've got some other things coming our way to get us excited about. So let's just hope that works out. And I'm really happy with what we got. So, well, let's go ahead and get this thing a rating. Overall, what did you give this show tonight?
Let me think about this for a second.
I'll just go ahead and go and kind of think about it. Looking at this entire show, there's a lot coming up for us. A lot that they were really promoting, and I have to say, the Ultimate Deletion didn't disappoint me, so that's a big part of this show. I think that's probably going to get a point for me by itself. And then you got all the other action, a lot of those feuds heating up like we had mentioned before. I think the show overall was very spaced because you had a lot of talking, and, of course, some of the in-ring action was there to kind of fill in. I think it was good enough to give me an idea that I should give it a 7.5. I think it was better than I really expected, not because of the Ultimate Deletion, because I think some of the other stuff they gave us, I expected very little, and they gave me more than I expected.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give it a little higher than you. I'm going to give it an 8 just for the beginning and the end of the show. The opening segment, like I said, I wish they would have done this years ago with Roman. The opening segment was great. Like you said, a lot of the matches and the spacing of everything and whatnot was kind of wonky throughout the rest of the show. The rest of the show was kind of meh. A few decent moments, building up feuds like Sasha and Bailey. You had the Revival talking about going into the Andre. You had Cena trying to build his match with the Undertaker. But nothing really huge to write home about in the middle of the show. But then the end, you had the big blow off with Ultimate Deletion, and it was great. So I'm gonna give it an 8.
Well, fair enough. Well, good. Well, we both like the show well enough to get it a higher rating, and definitely want to know what everyone out there thought about it as well. So, hey, whatever you're listening to us on, if you're listening to us on YouTube, hey, hit that comment section and let us know what you thought the show deserved. And also, make sure you don't forget, hey, wherever else you're listening to us, you can review us. And don't forget that subscribe button, rate, and review. Like I always talk about over there at the W2M Network. Once you do that, you give us a little bit more of that feedback that we love to read. And also, we get a chance to see what you rated the show. And once you subscribe, you never miss a minute of the action. Don't forget to also give some big love to 411mania.com and Last Word on ProWrestling.com. Both are great sites. We want you to go check them out. And our home at W2Mnet.com is the place where you find this show and all the other great wrestling, video games, also entertainment, along with sports shows that you love when it comes to podcasting. So please go check them out. They're really, really awesome. And, lots of great stuff coming your way every single week. So we appreciate that. Well, once again, I've had a lot of fun, Brandon. This has been a great time, and of course, there could be a possibility we'll be talking on Thursday for our NXT show.
Yep.
So I'm glad you'll be doing the trifecta. Come check out Brandon, of course, Harry Biskobing, and of course Liz Piglosi for SmackDown Live and 205 Live tomorrow night, and of course, like I already mentioned, NXT. So. Besides that, we thank you guys for joining us so much. And until next time, we will catch you guys down the road.